Magbilang ka, Anton.
The broadcast is live.
Anton?
Yes, you're live.
Okay. Good
Hello.
evening, good morning, everybody and everywhere in the world. Tonight, we have a very special guest on Awesome Seniors. And aside from just being a senior, she has the bones and the genes of national artists, national heroes that you young people and you seniors would read only in history books, Philippine history. But now we have one of the descendants who will tell us the story behind the scenes and her third degree stories of how she met or how she heard or how she's related to none other than I will tell you later. But first, let's welcome our guest tonight, none other than Peachi Santos-Viola Gaston. She's okay. She's a classmate, and she has many stories to tell us. Hi, Peachy.
Hello and good morning, good evening, good afternoon. No, not good night. Not good night yet.
Mamaya na. Yeah, Peachy. I mentioned to the audience about your having relationships and heritage with national artists and national heroes. So, siguro andyan na yung mga pangalan ng mga Andres Bonifacio, mga Gregoria de Jesus, mga Gabriela de Jesus, etc. But we will talk about that later. Tell us first a little something about yourself. Right now, what are you doing?
Right now, I have just recently lost my job because of the pandemic. I used to serve the sisters of the retired sisters of the Immaculate Heart of Mary in their convent called Queen of Peace. But despite, the situation, I'm able to reinvent myself
Good.
to be useful and fruitful, meaningful, and all the full uh, citizen, a member of the family, uh, having friends around. So, well, because we're in this kind of life, we cannot be sorrowful and we cannot self pity. So, I reinvented myself.
How did you
By
reinvent yourself?
I had learned how to be a creative gardener,
Okay.
which I will talk about also coming from the genes of my Lola.
All right.
I have also invented recipes, pandemic recipes, which I will talk about also
All
later.
right.
And I am devoting myself to the service of our parish church, which I have neglected all these years. So now I am serving, not really full time, to be a good parishioner of
All
the
right.
National Shrine of Our Lady of Lourdes.
Okay. What about your connection with Saint Teresa's?
Oh, well, I when I retired, um, when I was teaching there,
Uh-huh.
um, recently I was invited to talk about how it was to be a member of the teaching force in St. Teresa's College for the young ones, part of their orientation.
All right.
So I'm still connected somehow, and I have formed rosary groups both from the retired teachers, which I belong, of grade school and high school.
Okay. You wanna say hello to the classmates?
Hello there. Hello. And we miss each other, I know. And I
Hello,
promise,
seniors.
yeah, as soon as pandemic ends, we will have a celebration here in the house.
Okay.
Okay.
Before we go to the meat of your story, which is about the national heroes, you mentioned before that your father was the architect designer of the Iglesia ni Cristo. Your people who you of course Iglesia ni Cristo house churches are landmarks all over the Philippines. Pag naliligaw ka, sabihin mo lang, doon, no, banda doon sa may Iglesia ni Cristo, everybody knows the design. Can you tell us a little about how your father got to be the designer and why he made that template for the church?
Um, Felix Manalo Sr., the founder of the Iglesia ni Cristo, connected with my national artist uncle, Juan Nakpil, and asked him to design the churches for him. I don't know how it was. And my father was in the atelier of Juan Nakpil. That's where he met my mother. Okay, so from my uncle was so benevolent, he gave the project to my father. So my father uh, became the designer of the Iglesia ni Cristo, the cathedrals, the big ones. Now they have only small ones, but the big ones were designed by my father.
Yeah, it has the same format, right? Yung parang ganon na. And what's that
Yeah,
supposed to mean?
is Gothic towers pointing towards God. So all the designs are towards heaven. So that
Okay.
means we are for God.
All right.
So
So,
that's
big or small, ganun talaga, di ba? Kahit maliit naman,
yeah.
pag makita mo, ay, iglesia yan.
Oo, yung tower. That's their identity, the towers, the Gothic towers.
Yeah. So, that is why how your father will be always remembered by with that.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay. All right. That was just one people pa lang yan. Now we will go to the, we've when we were schoolmates, Peachy has always been the quiet one. But when she starts to get talking about the ancestry of her family, then that is when we are all ears and excited. So I don't know where to start, Peachy. Tell us first about the family tree and where all our national heroes come into play.
Um, okay. My grandfather, uh, the late Lolo Julio Nakpil, is the fourth child of a family of 12 children. Okay. He married Gregoria de Jesus, the widow of Andres Bonifacio. So they have been together in the Katipunan. When Bonifacio died, my grandmother and my grandfather fell in love and they got married and they had six children. And my mother is the sixth, the youngest child of Julio Nakpil and Gregoria de Jesus.
All right.
Yeah, they lived in a house, which I will describe later,
Okay.
owned by Don Ariston Nakpil, Don Ariston Bautista Lin,
Sino naman?
married married to the eldest daughter, the eldest sister of Julio Nakpil.
Okay.
And Don Ariston was a friend of Jose Rizal. So
Ooh.
they both were members of the propaganda movement.
Okay.
There is this painting of one Luna, the Parisian lady, the famous Parisian lady.
Mm-hmm.
That was a painting of a French woman, and at the background where not so blurry naman, para talagang background lang, where Don Ariston and Jose Rizal, and one Luna.
Talaga? Do you still have
Yeah,
a copy of that? Would you still have a copy of that?
it's a facsimile. The original is in is owned by GSIS now.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it was moved to the National Museum Gallery where it is housed. It's a very nice painting. We just have a facsimile
All
in
right.
the house.
Okay.
So the house is very historical because it housed my Lolo and Lola. And also, The second son, Francisco Nakpil, was a member of La Liga Filipina. He was
Oh,
he designed jewelries. My ancestors also, they had jewelry shop. So the house also housed a jewelry shop, and it was
mhm.
very famous. Even Mrs. MacArthur, I heard, had some of her jewelries designed in that house, made and designed in that house.
What was the name of the jewelry store?
La Juwelier Nakpil, in Spanish, the Nakpil Jewelry Shop.
Okay.
Okay,
Galing.
so my Lolo is a historical musician. He captured his 11 music pieces, some important events during his time. Examples are Pahimakas, which was a tribute to the funeral of Jose Rizal,
Oh,
martyrdom of Jose Rizal. Well, um, Biyak na Bato to immortalize the Pact of Biyak na Bato. And he even composed, Bonifacio asked him to compose a national anthem at that time. So they were already forming a sort of government
uh-huh.
called Salve Patria. But
Okay.
unfortunately, because of the division, Emilio Aguinaldo, of course, rose into power and chose our national anthem now. So his music is not so well known, um, but he was awarded no by the Exposición Regional Filipina in 1895. And
Uh-huh.
recently, Bahay Nakbil Bautista, together with Ayala Museum and the Manila Symphony Orchestra, last June 16, 2017, honored him with a musical legacy, the music of
Wow.
Julio Nakbil. Okay, and we're grateful to I don't know if she's doctor already, Alexandra Inigo Chua.
Mm-hmm.
She is a professor in UST who has now a dissertation about Lolo's music. And she has also organized his music into CDs because yeah, I know UP did and kept his compositions, but no one really wrote about his music now, which is very historical. She said he's the only one who has composed historical musical compositions, and that all of that were composed in the Nakpil residence, Nakpil Bautista residence. Okay,
It's
so
never, Pichi, it's never too late for the Philippine government to recognize that. Because imagine, I myself, nangingilabot ako when I'm hearing all this that, wow, this is all happening.
yeah, but he's not as well known as Julian Felipe and all the Condiman composers because my Lolo is a very reticent man. He's hardly recognized. And he's part of Andres Bonifacio's revolutionary movement because he was the right hand of Andres Bonifacio. He even became the vice president of, oops, I don't like to, a certain place. Andres made him head of that group. I don't know if it's Pasig. So he was a very historical man. No? Uh, that's where he met my Lola. So both of them were working for the revolution, but he was very quiet and never mentioned in history that he was the right hand of Bonifacio.
Okay.
Okay.
Were
Um.
were there
So
any writings, excuse me, that your Lolo wrote about the personality of Andres Bonifacio? We would hear sometimes that he was matapang, he was brave, he was hot-tempered. Was that true? Or walang takot, talagang, haharap kahit kanino.
um. Yeah. Well, this courage. My Lola in his accounts would mention about Bonifacio's courage, and patriotism, nationalism. He was really bent on this revolution to free us from the Spanish rule.
Oh,
So my Lolo and Lola joined his movement. Okay, so that's my Lolo who, yeah, very quietly served the Katipunan. And we go now to my Lola.
okay.
Can I go on to my Lola or it's okay?
Mag-ano naman yan eh, magmi-mix-mix yan mamaya eh.
Okay.
So, tell us the story. We're all ears.
Uh, okay. So my Lola has a more colorful life. Kasi nga, reticent, my Lola was a quiet type. So my Lola was the more, aggressive type. Yeah. And she is Andres loves na loves. Love siya talaga ni Andres.
Wow.
But unfortunately, Andres was not liked by the father of Lola Oryang because he was a Mason. She had to fight for that relationship. She wrote to Gobernadorcillo to allow her and Andres to get married, to talk to the father so they could get married. So doon pa lang, talagang she was very aggressive na and she would really fight, no?
Pero,
So eventually, yeah,
Andres Bonifacio, mahirap ba siya? Mayaman? Middle class? Ano siya nun?
Andres Bonifacio was not they had a bodega of they were selling hats in the Visoria. I hope
Okay.
I got my yeah. They were not from they were in the middle class. So
Uh-huh.
he had already a business then. So
Hmm.
he was not that poor.
Okay.
Okay. So um my because of this marriage, my grandmother became the lakambini ng Katipunan. And she hid the ammunitions, carried the letters here on her breast and documents and the timbre whenever the soldiers would, search the house where they were in. They were moving from one house to another. And she bravely carried all these documents from one house to another. She even learned how to use the rifle. So, she said, she's a frontliner. So,
Yeah.
hindi lang siya yung ano. So, she said, sapagkat wala akong nais na panahong yaon, kundi ang
Hiwagayway.
magawayway ang bandila ng kasarinlan ng Pilipinas. So, she was very patriotic and a nationalist like my lolo.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, when Andres died, so she got married to my lolo, and they lived a very happy family life naman. As compared to Bonifacio, she never had a normal family life because
Why?
they were moving from one place to another and busy fighting. No, uh, yeah. So she became more at peace when she got married to my lolo. Okay.
Question first. Did your Lola and your Lolo Nakpil ever meet with Jose Rizal?
I There was never mentioned. It was my grand uncle Ariston who
Uh-huh.
was really a friend of Jose Rizal.
Okay.
Kasi yun na nga, di ba? There was a sort of leveling up of, the intellectuals, and then here you are, the fighters. Uh, there was never mention of my Lola and Lola meeting
Okay.
Jose Rizal.
All right. Okay. Please continue the interesting story.
So, um, they have six children, my Lolo and Lola. Uh, and I think, no, they left mark, seeds in me that when I was reviewing this story, when you asked me, I suddenly found myself to be like my Lolo, reticent. And said, Nancy, you like to interview me? I'm not a chatty person. I don't like to be in the limelight. And one Teresian has
And here you are.
described me as a backstage person, which really, and even in the Zoom meetings or the seminars, I don't show myself. I only through friends. Wow, social. Um,
Eh
para akong
ngayon
sila.
awesome ka na. So dapat ano na.
Well, I hope. Well, yun na nga. So, the musical sense of my lolo, I wish I had the chance of composing, no, the music. But no one in the family has inherited that. Maybe the next generation, who knows? We're still hoping that one of the great grandchildren will be a good composer like him.
Did he
But
play
I
any
love
instrument? Did he play a piano or violin or uso nun ng violin, di ba?
my lolo. Oh yeah, he played the piano. That's why he composed the piano.
Mhm.
And he was a member of a band also. So he was already, because his father was a musician. So I inherited that from his father.
Okay.
Okay. So I love music, classical music, which everybody hates when I play classical music. Well, some do not like it. Um, and I feel the house with music. I cannot live without a sister beside me. I can live without a television, but I would like to hear music. Maybe because of that musical blood in me that Lolo has passed
Because
on.
the ghosts of your lolo and lola are there with you.
Yeah. I play only up to grade 3 piano. I can still play the piano, but it has to be with notes and simple ones. So
All right.
now and then, when I have time and I remember that I have to play the piano, that's the only time I
You
play the
remember
piano.
them. Okay.
Okay, with
Going
regards to
back to going
yes,
back to ano na to your Lola Oryang and Andres Bonifacio. So how long were they married and then what happened?
nako, the length of time I don't know. Um, well, they were really wait first. How old? Maybe about how old was my sister? More than 60 years. It was my Lola Oryang who died first. So I was able to meet my lolo. Oh,
Wow.
we always brought him to Luneta. My father would drive to make pasyal. And yeah, he was very quiet. And we would bring him to Baguio, where my uncle built a summer house for him. So that was his real house, the house in Baguio, which is still there, designed by my cousins, the sons of Architect Juan Nakpil.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so, and I don't remember him talagang chattering eh. He was really very quiet and a very laid back person.
Okay.
So,
Sayang kasi sayang kasi he could have told his story, 'di ba? Sana nagkukuwento ba siya sa inyo?
uh, I think to my, he has a book, this one, The Revolution. He has a biography, that one. He has a
Okay.
story. And my Lola also has her story here. She wrote her story
Mhm.
from that book. Okay. So, being patriotic and nationalistic, Bobby and Bobby, my sister, who's managing the Bahay Nakpil Bautista, uh, we have this patriotic, yung itaas ang bandila. So, EDSA is
Tama.
not, yeah, we will attend rallies. So, EDSA is a memorable place for us. And the last participation we had was the disfranchisement of ABS-CBN. Even if it was pandemic, we blew our horns to signify our protest. No? And we have a political stance in front of the house. Hindi nawawala yan.
All right.
So we have now pink ribbons and pink paroles. But
Okay.
before that, we had a yellow ribbon with Pinoy.
Okay.
So whatever stance we take, we really show it in front of the house.
All right.
To,
Now, but going back to um first before we go to your Lolo Julio, what else do we want? Would you like to share with us about Andres Bonifacio and Lola Oryang? Did they have children?
oh yeah. Uh,
Good.
they had Andres and Oryang had a son, but he didn't live for a long time. I think typhus ata or something like that because she was busy,
Yeah,
running here and there. So very unhealthy condition where he
okay.
survived, but not for long.
Takbo ng
Okay.
takbo sila.
Oo,
TNT.
oo,
Okay.
oo, TNT. So,
Okay.
yeah, my Lola did not say much about in her biography. But yun na nga, labs niya si Bonifacio.
Okay.
And
So
still,
and then how did it end?
yeah, this one is very interesting. So, Andres Bonifacio disappeared. And isn't it in the historical accounts? There is no real account of how he died. But my Lola knew that he was killed by Emilio Aguinaldo because she went up to the mountains of Marigondon to look for his remains. For 3 months, she walked na and looked for his remains. Ganun kamlab niya talaga si Bonifacio. And it's nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no real evidence. But of course, she knows. Why will she do that sacrifice if it was not true?
Okay.
But she was silenced also, and history erased what should be. So that's the part of the history that still blurry. No, it's not so clear. But
All
the
right.
fact that she really looked for Bonifacio, well, that's already something.
So
And
walang nicho, walang anything. At least dapat naman may monumento, 'di ba?
oo, now may monumento doon, malaking-malaki siya, which one can visit, pay a tribute to, including the house where doon daw yung paglilitis ni Bonifacio was staged. And my grandmother also went to that house to really inquire what happened to him. So that house is still there, preserved by the city government. So there's a historical tour that you can join. And the Caviteños are proud of that. But
All
I
right.
don't know if they're proud of that part of, the hazy part of history.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, history is history, it's
Yeah.
insignificant. So after that, then enters Julio,
Mm-hmm.
'di ba?
Yeah. She
Pero
was widowed.
actually magkakabarkada na sila, tama?
Oo, kasi nga, sekretarya na siya ni Bonifacio eh. Doon na. They worked together. Both of them would hide the ammunitions and the papers, but it was more of Lola. Kasi babae. So,
Mhm.
medyo aani pa ng sundalo. No? Would be respected. Um, not unlike the male, they would really search them. But my Lola really hid the documents and the timbre, as you call, no? The seal of the Katipunan.
Okay.
So they
So,
worked together. And I think my Lolo consoled her, no?
okay.
Because he was the one who wrote the poem. It was, I think, I don't know. My Lola wrote a poem how she missed Bonifacio. And I think there's he was the one who wrote the poem for her. I mean, wrote it, not composed, but wrote the poem for her. Alam ng lolo ko na mahal niya si Bonifacio.
Okay. So, and then after that, sila na
Sila na.
okay. And
Mhm.
then all right, continue. So, how long did they live together? And then ilan ang anak? 5, sabi mo?
6.
Six.
Two rider, yeah, six. Yun na nga, youngest
Your
ang ano
mother
ko.
was one of them.
Yeah, the youngest.
Ah,
So they live peacefully in the house of Don Ariston Bautista Lin. He was a philanthropist. Imagine he housed his in-laws in that big house.
okay.
So they were together. Okay, my Lola and Lola lived in one part of the house. I will describe the house later. So,
Yes. Yeah.
what the part of the house.
Uh-huh.
So there, they lived peacefully together, and had the children. Okay,
Okay. You
so
have you have to mention to the audience where is the house and what is a bahay na bato?
okay, so I go to the house now.
No,
Uh,
later pala, later.
later,
Pero
later.
where is the house? Where is the house located?
The house is located right across Quiapo Church. Um, Before it was Barbosa Street, now it is Bautista, Ariston Bautista Street. They recently
Hmm,
named it, changed it. But when we grew up, it was known as Barbosa near Eri Hidalgo on the
okay.
side, the other opposite side of Quezon Ave, opposite of the church. So that's where it is located.
All right.
So that's where love bloomed for my Lolo and more. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. My Lola, uh, I, I think I have, if my Lolo was quiet, my Lola nga is the more aggressive type. No? At an early age, she knew what selflessness and self sacrifice was. She stopped schooling so that her two younger brothers will be able to go to school. So she became a farmer. She managed the small farm that her father had and make pakikisama with the farmers.
Mhm.
So she was very selfless because she gave up the comforts of a normal family life because of her love for Andy. No? Okay. I am in a way like her. Um, yeah, I had to review nga eh, parang, uy, para ako ni Lola. I'm self-sacrifice and selfless. O, proud na ako doon kasi si Lola was like that. No? Being a teacher, how a teacher is, puyat, checking papers and all that. Both grade school, high school, and catechist in our parish, the National Shrine of Our Lady of Lourdes, counselor, administrator in St. Teresa's College, Quezon City. Guest, I had also adventures with big
Good.
sacrifice. I worked in Pines Hotel as guest relations officer and operations manager. Nagtapangan na talaga ako. Sabi ko kasi Lola matapang. Ako matapang. Mag-work ako sa province to teach. And even in STC Cebu, I was able to teach. Talagang here lang. Never worked abroad. Always here. If I'd rather stay here, work here for my countrymen than, serve other countries. So
Okay.
that's the Lolo and Lola in me.
And I think
Okay?
you're continuing that now with the making with the heirloom house, the Nakpil house, diba? So maybe you could tell us. We'll go now into the Nakpil bahay na bato. Maybe we
Okay.
can have photos. We can start with the photos that you can caption. Some will be about yourself, and some will be very historical. And Anton is there in the background. Anton,
Yeah, Aton. The
siguro,
existence of
yeah, siguro kinukuha ni Anton yung kanyang yung kanyang history book. Okay, who are these cute little
okay.
girls?
Oh, they're watching now, my two angels, who are living in Ontario, Canada.
What are their names
So
again? Sorry.
their names are Therese, the one on the right is the elder one, and Rafaela, the younger one.
Hello.
And this was a family reunion in Cafe Isabel. And we had my, you know, Butch Shalsita, right?
Yes, yes.
My cousin. He had this, I think, this food lecture or what. We also had a family reunion. So we were dressed up. So my two apos, when they were 4 and 3 in this picture, they wore these costumes. So I like our native costume. Kung pwede lang nga mag-national costume na lang eh. Kaya lang it's too tedious to be wearing this. So
Ikaw, okay lang
national
sa'yo. Okay lang sa'yo kasi matangkad ka tsaka slim ka. E paano naman kaming maiksi na ano? May ano, mga
oh,
horizontally challenged, di ba? Parang ang
oh,
ganda
my
ko.
lola. Oh, my lola, I remember my lola Ninang, she was small. Oh, she was still elegant. Ang ganda.
Pero
And the other,
si Oryang ba, ano, matangkad, maganda. Ano
ay,
ba, beauty?
no, she's middle, ano lang, not so small, medium height, and slim. She's very slim. Kaya hindi ko pwedeng suotin yung kanyang mga dating sinusuot na, very delicate na. So
Okay.
she was very slim. Ang mga waistline noon, 'di ba, ganyan.
Oh,
So, okay. So
19.
she was very slim.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and she always wore a bun, nakapusod lagi.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Next, please.
Oh,
All
this
right.
one. This is Don Ariston Bautista Lim,
Ah,
the owner of the house.
okay.
Okay. So, this was a GSIS honored him. This is a GSIS first an exhibit in GSIS, then moved it to the house. So, he was um he was a very historical figure also because being a doctor, first head of the PGH, the Philippine General Hospital. So, yan ang
Hmm.
kaibigan ni Jose Rizal. Siya talaga ang nakasalimuha, nakakwento, at nakipagdebate kay Jose Rizal. I know
Oh,
that's what they met in Paris. That's why that the Parisian Day. So that is a celebration. And this is
mm,
the house. This is now the apartment of my lolo, the side of the house where he lived. So that's a long one with bedrooms and his um, not to the office where he composed his music. The first door that you will see when you climb the stairs from the Sagwan.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Next, please, Anton. Anyway, lahat yung mga kahoy na yan, ano, Nara, I guess, no?
Oo
Ito
naman.
na. Ito na siya.
Okay. So, my only vehicle, and I'm proud of it up to now, is my bicycle. It's still
Very
alive,
good.
huh?
That's good.
Yeah. I don't have a car. I don't have a motorcycle. Everybody tells me, the manangs in school, Miss, bumalik ka na ng motorbike. Oh, excuse me. I like my bicycle. Diba? Oh, God saver. I used to work in the alumni office of St. Teresa's College. And also when I was teaching I started when I was biking to STC when I was teaching years back. So I continued when I up to the time that I worked in Queen of Peace. I bike going to work.
Okay.
So I like biking.
Audience, baka naman akala nyo taga May Kawayan to o Bulacan. Diyan lang siya,
Quezon
mga
City.
5 blocks or 6 blocks or 10 blocks away. Okay, next.
Oo naman. O baka I can reach Quezon Boulevard and Del Monte
Wow!
Avenue.
Yeah, talo mo. Ay,
Yeah.
hindi ko
I
kaya
was
yun.
bringing a lechon.
Oh.
Imagine me bringing a lechon in that basket. Ano naman, a lechon in the Belao. And, Quezon City is so hilly. Oh, I would get off the bike and, walk. So, I can bike up and down the hills.
That's
Okay,
make that
this one,
makes you an awesome senior. Okay, next ano to? Sino na to?
this was the lecture in celebration, the one of Ayala Museum, where
Uh-huh.
I told you Dr. Sandy worked on her thesis dissertation. So
Mm-hmm.
she lectured Lolo's works, her dissertation, during the celebration
Who is
there
who?
in the Ayala Museum. The one on the left, Felipe Agoncillo, was on the right. There was also a lecture about him. So
Okay.
pinagsabay yun eh, ng ano, but the one on the left is Lolo Julio.
Yung ano,
So that was
yung naka-black and yung mas clear. Yung
Oo,
itim ang buhok,
siya,
that's your lolo?
oo, the young Julio Nakpil.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. All right. Okay. Next, we have next photo, Anton.
Natataranta siya.
Oh, ang dami. Oh, ito yung mga, hi, sisters!
So yeah, this is the last, well, I term it as the turn of my wheel of fortune. This is my last service to the Immaculate Heart of Mary Sisters. I first taught as a teacher, and my last work before I retired, before the pandemic, was serving our retired sisters of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, the Missionary Sisters. So I worked with them there in the convent, and I was so happy and proud to have worked with them. And I miss them. I cannot even visit them. You know
Well,
what?
then they can
When
watch you
there's
na.
huh?
They can
I
watch you
cannot.
now.
I don't know if they're watching. I told one of the sisters, two
Okay.
sisters,
I-greet mo na sila.
Sister Cora and Sister Alice. I don't know if they're watching me. And
Okay.
Sister Rosana, Saint Olman. So it was a service. My last part of serving the ICM.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice of you. All right. We have more photos coming up, both in the present. Yan, present. So, meron pa rin tayong, wow, kilala ko yata itong mga magagandang dilag na to. Ang gaganda
So
naman.
So I teach not only my grandchildren to wear national costume, even my friendships. There's my batchmates. I celebrated a birthday. Oops, sorry, I forgot when this was. And
Secret.
asked them to bring costumes so we can have photo ops in the house. So I
Okay, name.
celebrated my birthday.
Okay, go ahead and name them na.
Son at the what front row, Sonia Solano Zuniga and her daughter on the right, Ina. The one in the center is Wem Yatko. Standing up on the left is Ellie Chico. Cecil Chuachacos, the next, the second one on the left. The caterer, classic chef caterer, and then me, and Ebony Peralta. Okay, so I hope they're watching. I forgot to
Yeah.
tell them to watch so they can see
Ah,
their pictures.
yeah. Audience, I just want to make it clear, these ladies are not 100 years old, ha? Nasa present. Yeah. Um,
70s. We're in our 70s. I'm proud to be
yeah,
70.
awesome. Okay, next.
Yeah.
So
We're
next na
still,
tayo.
the 70, we're still in the prime of our, you know, creativity,
70 is the
productive.
new 40. Oh, ayan.
Uh,
Ano na yan?
yeah.
Okay.
This one, I inherited my grandmother's being an excellent cook. This part I have to share because my Lola was an excellent cook. Okay, she what do you call? Well, she did not go to any culinary school. She was excellent because when Don Ariston would come home from abroad, she would call, Oryang, Benaki. Okay, why? Because he would describe the dish that he ate, that he liked, maybe in France, no? French cooking, and how it tasted. And she would whip up, without measuring spoon and measuring cups, the ingredients and all that. Excellently said, she was able to whip up the dish for him.
Okay,
She
so
was a
anong
wizard
dish
in the
ito?
kitchen. This one I inherited. I'm proud that I inherited this from her. Galantina, the famous
Oh!
Galantina. Okay, this is the old Galantina because this was her recipe. This is not baked. I don't know why people bake. This is the steamed Galantina. So deboned chicken, I debone it myself and stuff it and sew it. You have to sew it up because you break the back to debone it, and
Yeah.
then you stuff it and put the giniling na baboy, the pickles, the carrots, not that it must be dill pickles, not the sweet one. The
Oh,
carrots, chorizo de bilbao, and some wine to add flavor to it. And we have to sew back, surgeon, the back,
yeah.
and drop it in a katsa.
Uh-huh.
Wala ng katsa ngayon, buti na lang nakabili ako. Naka-hoard ako ng katsa from the bakery nearby.
Oo,
So
you
I
can
wrap it in
buy
the
it yung
trifoil
lalagyan ng sako, sako ng ano, yung sako ng flour. Anyway,
flour.
okay. Who are these?
Okay, these were my students in grade school. So this is part of my mission, my selflessness and sacrifice, being a teacher. And
Okay.
I'm proud of my students, all
Yes.
of them,
I
grade
hope they're
school, high
watching also. Hello.
school, yeah.
Okay. Next, please. Gusto ko na rin makita yung sila Andres. Can we have the next photo? And be sure
No,
to let
Andres kasi is not related to me. It's just because
you know. Yeah.
he was my lolo's husband. Kaya,
Yes. Yeah.
yun,
But somehow it's there.
ay,
Hindi ba?
lolo's husband.
Andun din yun eh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yun na nga, yung katapangan ni Andres na binahagi niya sa akin ng lolo at lola.
All right.
Okay, happy fiesta. If you hear the fireworks,
Okay.
happy fiesta. It's the
Yeah.
feast of the Our Lady of Lourdes.
All
And
right.
we're just, so this fireworks.
That's fine. Anton, can we have the next, please? Ayun, ano yan?
This
Crispy
one is
tacos?
another recipe of my Lola. This time it's not chicken. It's the pig's head, cabeza de jabali. Okay.
Imagine,
It's
people, this is the first time we will be able to see a real living photo of a cabeza de jabali that you only read in antique cookbooks. Okay, proceed. Tell us.
okay. This again, you have to remove the skin, the flesh from the head of the ay, wala na.
It's okay. It's okay. Continue, please. Oh,
So you have to debone it again, just like the galantina, and then roll it, stuff it with the same chorizo de bilbao, the pickles, the egg, and all that. And there's the kacha. You have to
okay.
roll it in the kacha.
All right. And then steam
Uh,
them.
and then, yeah, boil it again. So it will come out as that's why they call it queso also
Cheese head.
uh, queso because it looks like a queso de bola.
Ah,
So it becomes whole again when you steam it. So
okay.
that's the cabeza de jabali.
All right.
So all the tongue, the ears, you put it back there, you slice it, kasama na siya doon. So together with the chorizo de Bilbao, this time the it's not ground pork, no, or that you put inside, but everything, the parts of the head, except the eyes, of course, and the
Yeah.
teeth. No, alis mo na yun.
Oh,
So that
okay.
yeah,
All right.
we do it only once a year because it's a feast. It's a dish for a feast, and that's what we had during Christmas in the old house.
Wow. All right.
Forward.
Okay. Next, the next photo. Next photo will be
The one
Anton.
of
Pero, I'd like to taste that. Okay. So, yung next, please. Next photo,
It's
please.
Christmas na, Nancy, kung nandito kang Christmas.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Tuloy natin yan. At saka, naka-costume. Anton, can we have the... Ayan. Okay. Ito na. Ni Julio
Ito yung,
Nakpil. Wow.
oo. Do you want to hear a part
Yes,
of his
please.
music?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let me see if this will work.
Pogi
Naman,
siya,
not
ha?
so...
Pogi siya.
Yeah. Oo, when he was, oh
Oo.
yeah, up to the time he was old, gwapo siya. Gwapo
Okay.
siya.
Sige. So, we are going to let us hear maybe a few bars of his composition.
Yeah, hopefully this works.
It will work.
You know,
What is the
uh,
title?
oops, let me see. Ecos de Ilocos, Danza. Okay.
So, that's
Ooh,
about Ilocos.
yeah. Medyo, I don't know, my device is not so, so, uh, so it's working like that. You want to sway
Yeah.
with this music.
For a reticent man, his music is very lively.
I wish I could have the
Okay,
hear
let's
you.
have the next photo na. Pero, very nice. As I was saying, maybe he put all his passion in music. That's why he was not really that showy, but it was all in his music. Medyo tabingi itong pero to, it's a little girl
I,
on an armchair.
oh, okay. So I would like to introduce the house now. Uh, the house is in the center of Quiapo, constructed in 1914, designed by Arcadio Arellano, a famous architect then. It is a traditional Filipino stylized house inspired by the 1900s Viennese art movement, secessionism, that utilizes geometric designs as compared to the traditional curves, no? Wala dito yung ano eh. Ay, the barandilla. See, the grill is straight. It's not in the old houses where you see the curves, the flowers, the designs are flowery.
Yeah.
The secessionist is geometric. So,
Ah.
triangle, square, rectangle, pero may design siya.
Ano yun? Art
The
Deco?
yeah.
Art
Kaya yung tulip dun sa, well, the panel there na nakabaliktad is still geometric. So, if you go to the house, you will see that.
Okay.
So, it is a tahanan ng Katipunero, since historical figures have lived in that house. This mother and child, I took this and I'm very proud. This is, they relieve the history of the historical figures attached to the house. The story or the story of the Katipunan. See the interaction of the
Yeah.
mother and daughter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this happens in the house because
Uh-huh.
young students in costumes that they would go to the museum, no? We lend them costumes. So, and Bobby has provided wooden small bolos. So they would pretend that they would be running around with their bolos, pretending that they are Katipuneros. So when you go there, you relive really the story of the Katipunan and my Lolo
Beautiful.
and
Beautiful.
the college students, their history projects. Naku, ma'am, please. Naku, nagbabargain yan that they have only so much and all that. So, parang you want naman them to be a part of history. So, you let them have their history projects in that house.
Okay.
So,
We have more photos coming up about the
yeah.
house. I saw one nasa may landing ng yan.
Yeah, Yeah, that's where we took also a picture of our batchmates. Kasi malaki siya talaga. Yo, for photo ops. This from the Saguan, so later I will describe sa photos. You have the descanso and then you have to rest to climb the stairs, and on top of that, that's the top of the stairs. Wooden staircase na always shiny. You have to be careful because it's always shiny.
All right.
So it's big, and that door at the back, yeah,
Yes.
it leads to the bedroom of Don Ariston Nakpil and my grandmother, great grandmother. Yeah, great aunt Petrona. That's where
Okay.
their bedroom
Who
is.
are these people?
These are my uncles and my aunties and my young cousins. They were very young then.
All right.
So that this was one Christmas in the house. They wore costumes.
Ah,
There
okay.
was Yeah, there was a time also we wore costumes because we celebrated Christmas. Uh, no. This was the birthday of Lolo. We had to wear costumes and danced for him.
That's nice.
Kaya lang wala, hindi ko makita yung
Ah,
picture
okay.
na yun.
Okay, let's
So
move.
this is the top of the
Yeah.
staircase.
Yeah. Okay. Next, please. Gets more and more interesting even with all the details. Pero parang may Santa Claus nga dun, no?
Oo, kasi nga they wore costumes to make it lively. Oh,
Oh,
this
wow.
one.
Ito na. Ang
Oh,
ganda.
yeah. Wala na yung original dining table. So the original dining table was a place that sat okay. Malaki mahaba yun eh. 20 almost 24 people. So you have the old ones, yeah. The old ones would sit there. And then the teenagers, there were two tables by the window facing there was an estero. The estero then is not stinky. Kaya nakakainis eh. Kasi nga, um, the Muslim neighborhood, they just keep dumping their garbage. The estero then was really the clear estero. So two tables by the windows where the teenagers were.
Okay.
And then if you see that door, there are two doors. The one on the right leads to an azotea, a small pocket garden. That's
Hmm.
where we, the babies, would have our meals when we went there. Oh, we had a small table, and we really liked talking and making our telling stories there. So we were very close. We grew up because of that house. We grew up very close. So we would have
Oh,
our family reunions there. So
okay.
now it is an exhibit house. People can exhibit their paintings.
Hmm.
There was a time for revolutionary, anybody who would like to exhibit can do so, regardless of faith, regardless of belief, yeah, ideology. You can. Oh, that is the tulip I told you. The one
Ah,
on top, near the ceiling.
all right.
See, it's geometric. It's still geometric.
Yes.
So
Yes.
even the chairs, the furniture, very geometric to
Okay.
match.
Okay.
The wall, the panel, see, geometric also.
All right. Yeah.
So hindi yung, 'di ba, yung Spanish type yung mga flowers,
Curly,
curvy,
curly.
curvy.
Yeah.
Oo. So Art Nouveau,
Art Nouveau.
secessionist movement. Yeah.
Next,
Wala na
please.
yung original chandelier.
Ah,
Okay, that pala, that the end of that room, the other end, is where the bed of my Lolo and Lola is now housed. It was
oh,
a bedroom. That was not their bedroom. The one downstairs was a bedroom.
okay.
Okay. So this was a part of uh, PETA, staged memory as place as memory. A tour of the house with versatile performance combining music, dance, poetry, and food last September 9, 2017. Very interesting.
Ganda.
Very nice. The dance was choreographed by Agnes Locsin, and
Mm-hmm.
then there was poetry reading. Okay, so it was a very culture filled.
Yes.
performance kasi hindi siya yung ano lang, no? You went from one room to another reliving the stories of that room and the story of my lolo and lola.
Okay.
So um the next picture
Next,
I
please.
I was if that is the picture next picture.
See. Anton, can we have the next one?
Okay, so um
Is that picture si Oryang yon? Si Lola Oryang?
oo,
Is that
that's
her?
picture. Hindi niya na-receive yung picture. I sent the one of Lo and Lola. Okay,
Ah,
never mind. That is
maybe it's
her
there.
famous picture.
Okay.
That's her famous picture.
We'll see. We'll see that later. Okay. Anton, can we have the next one? Siguro he's sorting it out. Ayun. Ikaw. Alright.
Ito, I was honored to be a narrator of one part, and that is you see the staircase, that big staircase that you have to
Yeah,
climb.
it's in the
That's
dark.
why there is a descanso. So from the sagwan or the garage where it can
Uh-huh.
house two horse carriages before and 3 to 4 vintage, it's really a big one, huge one. Now there's a exhibit now about Quiapo and the house in that sagwan. So you go up a little staircase to rest and look at the long big staircase of rest really. And this is the site of where my lolo and lola lived. So, and that's where
Oh,
he composed this music. So
okay.
that is the staircase from the sagwan and the descanso.
Okay. Can see. Okay, next, please. More photos. We are waiting for to see Julio and I hope we see. Ayan. Ayan na si
Yan,
Julio.
yan. Oh, yan
Okay.
na. Yan na. Si
May
Gwapong
kamukha
Lolo.
yan ah. Mukhang may mga kakilala akong kamukha niya. Alright.
When he was
So,
very young. When he
yeah.
was very young.
Pogi.
So that's my lolo. Yeah. He was never mentioned, di ba, in history. Yeah.
Talaga?
He lived, si Emilio Jacinto lived with them. With, no, Emilio Jacinto lived with Bonifacio and Lola Oryang.
Okay. Ayun, kamukha niya si Emilio Jacinto. Kamukha niya yung isa kong kaibigan. Isang chef. Okay? Next, please.
Yeah.
Pogi. Ayun, ang ganda niya. Tisay.
Mm-hmm. She was,
Oo.
she's from Caloocan. She was from Caloocan.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Ang tangos
Yes,
ng ilong niya, ha? Matangos ang
oh,
ilong. And
okay.
ano,
That's Lola.
actually, her eyes are kind of deep set and ang ganda ng proportion ng kanyang face. No wonder. No wonder she
Mm-hmm.
was alluring to both men and maybe more became like a muse, di
Yes,
ba?
lalo na si Andy. Imagine.
Yeah. And then not only that,
Oh,
you can see in her face, there's that passion and strength. May inner strength siya eh. Hindi siya yung
yeah.
halatang agad na may matapang. Mukhang
Ay,
haharap.
nako. Nancy, I have to mention this and buo ng loob. My grandchildren now knows this. Ang kabuuan ng loob ay kailangan natin.
Okay.
In
Totoo.
life's challenges, we
Yeah.
have to have buo. Our loob must be buo.
Okay.
That's who she is, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Di ba,
National
imagine,
passion.
no? In that situation, in life's challenges,
Yeah.
talagang sobrang buo ng loob to be able to do that for the Katipunan.
Tama.
Fearless talaga. At
Okay.
tapos magra-rifle ka pa. I think she rode also a horse. She knew how to ride a horse.
Okay. All right.
So,
Next.
buo talaga ang loob niya. Yun
Amen.
ang pinasa rin niya sa akin. Pinasa ng nanay ko, pinasa sa akin, pinapasa ko ngayon sa aking mga apo.
And
Na
hopefully
kailangan
to the Filipinas that she's going to inspire even the Gen X and the young ones now who are watching. Can we have the
Yes,
next photos?
especially now.
Yes,
Kailangan buo ang loob ninyo.
yes.
Nakakaawa ang youth ngayon because of this situation.
Yeah. Kaya nila yan.
So, oo.
Okay.
Tingnan mo. Lola ko na kaya niyang
Yeah. Next.
makipaglaban.
Okay. Next, please.
Lalaban tayo. Okay. So,
Ayan na.
so this is now sad. This is now the frontage of the house. You see the the ventanilla. Oh, I like that ventanilla. Best part. Kasi when we were small, bawal. To look out of the window or we might fall. So,
Oo.
nandun lang kami sa ventanilla.
Okay.
So, again, the ventanilla, see the geometric designs, even
Yeah.
the grill of the door. Big doors, talagang huge.
Yeah.
Wooden doors yan. Okay? So,
Okay.
we have the katipon, because it's House of the Katiponeros. We have the Katipunan and our national flag.
All
So,
right.
we would watch the procession from there.
Mhm. Okay.
So,
Let's
before, Nazareno used to pass. So,
yeah.
we always attended the fiesta in front of the house.
All right. Let's see the next one. Okay.
So,
Nakita mo?
this is now the top. The top,
Oo.
when you, yeah, that's the other end. It's
Mhm.
now Dambana ni Oryang. So, that
Mm.
bedroom has been converted as in honor of her, where she has her Ten Commandments. Meron siyang aral para sa youth na
Mhm.
nakalagay dyan. So, uh, so the youth she has a lot of values, no, that she has shared for the youth.
Maybe we can
Okay,
hear
so,
that later if you could read it. Okay,
okay,
I think that's the end of it. Okay, you mentioned value. Let's end it with the photo of your Lola. Okay, you
yeah,
mentioned that she had a Ten Commandments. But before that, I'm just curious. Okay, we often see the iconic statue or monument of Andres Bonifacio. I'm sorry, I'm going back to Andres. Nakaputi, tapos nakapula na pants na naka-roll.
pantalon.
Tapos meron siya.
Mhm.
Was that really how he looked or was that an artistic rendition?
Wait, kasi the red noon, di ba? Talagang fight to the finish, katipunan.
So,
Parang
ganun
ano lang yun,
yung sila?
oo, identity. Oo, identity. But I don't know, I'm not sure. Parang to ano nga that he was a fighter. He was a,
Oh,
yeah, di ba red is the
okay.
color of passion
Yeah. So
and
anyway,
her,
before we end, Peachy,
yeah,
we can already see that as we progress through the interview, medyo nabubuhay din ang ano mo yung the Oryang in you and in me also, you know. I feel so proud to be a Filipino that and to have known her even more closely now than because of your story. But would you have in hand the Ten Commandments? Maybe we can end with that, the values that she had.
oh yeah, it's in this book.
Okay.
Oh,
Mahaba ba?
10. 10 phrases,
Oh,
10
sige.
sentences.
Okay. Good. Shoot.
Okay. She wrote it in Tagalog, but I read na lang it in English.
Okay.
Which do you in English? Respect and love your parents because they are next to God on earth.
Okay.
Number 2, remember always the sacred teachings of our heroes who sacrificed their lives for love of country.
Okay.
Number 3, ito, do not waste time so as not to serve as bad example for others. Number 4, acquire knowledge diligently in the line or field of work for which you are best fitted so that you can be useful to your country. Number 5, remember that goodness is wealth. Number 6, ito, kasi teacher ako. Respect your teachers who help you to see and understand, for you owe them your education as you owe your parents your life. Number 7, protect the weak from danger. Aban. 8, fear history, for it respects no secrets. Bagay na bagay sa atin itong panahon na ito.
Okay.
So history will not hide anything. Number 9, great honor will be his who avoids doing evil. Oh, ang dami ngayon, nalaganap. Number 10, promote the union of the people and the country's progress in order not to retard its independence. Very nationalistic. Talagang love
Okay.
of country.
And with that, I would like to say that we're ending with a new or renewed or revitalized look into nationalism. And sometimes when we have Philippine history, we're supposed to memorize dates and places and names, and then after that we forget it. But this time, this is a living history as told by a very authentic and the real in the bloodline of Oryang de Jesus, Nakpil, and Julio Nakpil, who are in the families of national artists and more importantly, national heroes. And we would like to thank you, Peachi Santos-Viola Gaston, and your si Bobby and your even Sita. We will be interviewing him one of these months, and for all your stories and for preserving the even the Ten Commandments and the house and all that. Mabuti nga hindi nasunog yan or hindi ni raid.
Oo na nga. Kasi ano, it's a blessing really.
Oo.
Kasi we're trying to even with the small amount of fees that we ask from the visitors, no.
Mm-mm.
Bobby is able to budget it. Pina-repair niya recently, inanay recently, all
Right.
this. Yeah, that's why you are welcome. Those who have patiently listened to my story, relive our history, which is so rich, and
Okay.
come to the house,
All
and you
right.
will feel the pulse of the Katipunan there.
Kwento mo mga pa lang naaano na kami. Gusto ko nang mag-ano gusto ko nang maghimagsik sa nangyayari sa mundo, hindi lang sa bayan natin. But
Yeah,
anyway, thank you very much, Peachy. Thank you to Bobby and for having inspired us. You yourself, you're an inspiration because I think the genes of Oryang are in you. And with that, another awesome senior that we have had here in this awesome planet. Thank you, and we will have more of our inspiring, awesome seniors. But this time, I want to salute Peachy Santos-Viola Gaston. Thank you very much for having us. God is
for
good.
Lola and Lola, for Lola and Lola. Yeah.
Goodbye.